Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. Today, Kyle Bauer visits with the Director of Research, Adrian Self, to discuss the National Agricultural Biosecurity Center. Up next is this week's Kansas Soybean update. Duane, Toews, and John Butler will talk about changes in the beef industry and how to adapt to meet the needs of the customer. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk with Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Kyle Bauer is talking about agricultural biosecurity with Director of Research, Adrian Self.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer, visiting with Adrian Self. He's with the National Agricultural Biosecurity Center. Been at Kansas State, or Kansas State has had one of those for quite a while. It somehow has gotten a bit hidden because of all the talk about NBAF. Tell us about your center.
National Agricultural Biosecurity Center is a small shop located under the purview of the Vice President for Research. We are housed in Pat Roberts Hall, where we are co-located with the Biosecurity Research Institute. And all of that is on the opposite side of the fence of the federal lab, the National Bioagro Defense Facility.
So your purpose or emphasis or the things you do there?
We have three main areas that we do work in. The first is research knowledge projects. So that's many things academic. Our second area that we work in is ag bio preparedness, and our main thing that we do there is deliver animal disease response courses or training sessions, not just in Kansas but in a few other states, and we're always looking to expand that. And then lastly, the third area we work in is, we call it the Institutional Resource Gateway. That's for folks that are mostly outside of the campus environment that are looking to make a connection to NBAF-related activities and don't have a good resource or a close connection already, say, with the faculty at K-State. They end up at our website and find out, okay, these people can help us get pointed in the right direction of where to go.
And literally that could be in a half a dozen different departments across the university.
Correct. It can be anything in animal science and food science. It can be at the College of Veterinary Medicine. It can be in bioagroengineering and computer science. It can be in College of Arts and Sciences with communication studies, or even the English department. So.
Now, one thing I wanted to touch on, though, as we worry about animal disease control across the United States, certainly livestock move across those borders daily, and you are part of the effort to deal with that should the need arise.
Correct. The Kansas Department of Agriculture was relocated to Manhattan next to the land grant, and Kansas is one of two states that has that unique flavor to its ag department, and folks at the KDA have used us frequently, increasingly in the last 2-3 years in their full-scale functional exercise at the end of each year, and they normally drill on foot and mouth disease, but our animal disease training, response training, is species agnostic. So we talk about PED-V in the swine industry, we talk about high-path AI for poultry and chickens, and we talk about FMD, of course, for beef.
And of course, that involves more than just the state of Kansas.
It does. The state of Kansas is a member of what's called a multi-states partnership in security and agriculture, and it is one of 3 or 4 different state-level consortiums, or groupings of states, that try to trade information and develop information a step below the United States Department of Agriculture. And they often look to, these state consortia often look to academia, to mainly land-grant universities, as a hub for expertise and energy and coordination.
Visiting with Adrian Self, he's the Director of Prospect Research for the National Agricultural Biosecurity Center. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
With nearly 100 years of broadcasting excellence, Ren Radio is now live on the internet playing hit songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Join Jack Diamond, Mac Collins, Les Glenn, Frankie C., Antonio Barber, Wings Callahan, and the real Don Steele for some of the best music ever recorded. Hear it at rendigitalmedia.com or get the Ren Oldies Radio app in Play Store or App Store. And tell Alexa, good times and great oldies on Ren Internet Radio.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kellen Leach, economist with the Kansas Department of Agriculture, joins us. And Kellen, KDA remains involved with the commodity commissions through several avenues. And one of them is helping with the process of election of board members to the commodity commissions. How does that work for KDA?
The process that we go through, every year there are actually 9 districts in the state of Kansas for grain commodity commission elections. And this year we are electing commissioners for districts 7, 8, and 9, the eastern third of the state. So right now we are canvassing for commissioners for that eastern third of the state for them to get signatures on their petitions to show interest to fill those spots on those boards to be commissioners for the 5 grain commodity commissions.
So if there's someone who is interested in doing that, there are some deadlines that are coming up here before the end of the year.
The petitions for candidacy have to be postmarked by November 30th. And those petitions, they have to receive 20 signatures of growers that are actually growing the commodity, in this instance, soybeans. They have to obtain those 20 signatures and then have those petitions postmarked by November 30th.
Now, in the case of if you are not interested in becoming a commissioner but would like to vote, you also need to register to vote?
You do. You can register to vote by December 31st, either by signing someone's petition, or you can go to the KDA website, agriculture.ks.gov, and you can actually fill out the form there to register to vote, or you can contact the Kansas Soybean Commission as well to register to vote. All 5 of the Kansas Grain Commodity Commissions, the Kansas Department of Agriculture, we do the administrative function for those elections. The Kansas Soybean Commission is no different in that aspect.
And they also encourage candidates who reflect diverse enterprise sizes, experiences, methods of production and distribution, marketing strategies, and other distinguishing factors to ensure its commissioners reflect the diversity of those its programs serve. If they'd like more information about all this, can they go to your website, Kellen?
The Kansas Department of Agriculture website can be found at agriculture.ks.gov, and you can go to the Grain Commodity Commission site of the website there. You can not only get the petitions for candidacy, as well as register to vote there.
That is Kellen Leach, who is economist with the Kansas Department of Agriculture, who joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Duane Toews and John Butler, who talk about consumer changes and the beef industry.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil, and the decision continues improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Duane Toews and John Butler discuss the beef industry here on Farm Factor.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with John Butler with the Beef Marketing Group. And John, recently you had a chance to talk to producers about the industry, kind of where we're looking towards the year 2030. It sounds like a long ways off, but the realities are it's closer than we think. And in an industry that you've got to forward plan, it's pretty important that we look that far ahead.
I really think so. I totally agree with that. I think that time is not our ally. It's moving very quickly. As important, our industry is moving very quickly. Our consumer is changing, and we've got to be aware of these changes so that we can proact, get in front of and be prepared for those changes so we can continue to produce a competitive protein and one that satisfies the needs of the consumer.
Talk a little bit about your perspective in terms of alignment. I know there's a lot of folks that get nervous about integration. We've seen it in the pork and poultry industries, and some believe in the benefits, some believe in the cons of that, but alignment is a little bit different scenario.
It is. I mean, it's in the beef industry, we have a very segmented structure, really. And we've got the cow-calf guy, we've got the feeder, we've got the packer, we've got many cases a distribution segment, and then the end user, which can be retail and food service. And really, when we talk about alignment, we look at it as a beneficial change so that we can transfer and share information from each of those segments, and so that we understand each other's space a little better, and so that we can better understand how we can contribute together in a synergistic way to the ultimate value that we're delivering to the consumer.
And really, it is all based about that consumer's desire. There's folks within the industry that often question whether that consumer is right, but ultimately it's their dollars that they're spending.
It is. I mean, we talk about who's your customer, and traditionally in the beef industry, if you go through the segments, we have sort of looked at the cow-calf guy, maybe the feeder's his customer, and the feeder maybe the packer's his or her customer, and the packer the end user. But really, the customer is the consumer at the end. So if we sort of take a look at starting at the end and working back, then this alignment kind of a concept and change begins to make a lot of sense.
We think about the opportunities, not only domestically, but internationally. There's changes ahead in that regard as well.
Absolutely. I mean, in the United States, we produce the highest quality, most desirable product in the world. in the beef sector. And from a global perspective, many of our export customers know that, and we're not really taking full advantage of that. What I'm speaking of there is issues like traceability. We don't have access to certain markets because we don't have a traceability system in this country. And that's another change that we probably as an industry need to take a very serious look at so that we can have more access to these markets. We can be more competitive, we can share information, and we can actually learn from having that traceability and that information traced back and forth how we could produce a more efficient product.
It seems like the change is inevitable. I know there's a number of producers out there that say the target's always moving. How do we get away from the situation where they just throw their hands in the air and don't become a part of a new frontier, really?
You know, that it is a frustrating part of our business, is that if you look at the markets, they do change, they do move, and it takes a very special discipline to be able to look at the end zone, focus on the end zone, and stay committed to it. And in not every case and every day, it looks like it may not be the right decision, but over the long haul, it absolutely is the right decision. And the other proteins we're competing with are in many cases already there, and we're losing ground from a market share standpoint. And we just can't afford to do that any longer.
All right, thanks to John Butler, Beef Marketing Group, joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays, and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses in rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months, and I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
My name's Joe Newland. I'm the 3rd District Director from Southeast Kansas. And with Kansas Farm Bureau, I get to travel around to 10 different counties in our area and visit with the counties of what Farm Bureau members think of what we do and what actually Farm Bureau means to them. I think probably the biggest concern is on the legislative side, the policy side more directly, and so that we want to make sure our members their voices are heard, and what affects their life every day. Our members want that. They know that they don't have the time to spend in Topeka or DC, and so they depend on an organization like ours. And since we are the largest general farm organization in the state, I think that voice resonates with them. I think that's what sets us apart, from other farm organizations. Our Vote FBF process starts at the grassroots level with each county. So, each county promotes and discusses, determines which candidate most helps them. And so with that, you can make your recommendation then to the state level.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Coming down in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with the button-pushing Duane Toews.
Here I be on my side of the board.
The guy in control.
It's not often the employee gets to rule the boss.
So am I the boss?
I'm just going to take that.
Am I the boss?
I'm going to take that as a moral victory.
I would like to have that written down somewhere.
Your fact or fiction question today, Kyle Bauer. Grapes will explode if you heat them in a microwave. Fact or fiction?
Well, I think there'd be a little hole in the end where the stem came out, that there'd be plenty of place for the air to come out of them. But why would you say that if it wasn't true? I have never microwaved a grape. I've microwaved several things that have exploded over the years. I'll go with true.
It is true.
I don't think that's true. I think you said it was true.
Well, the place I read it said it was true. Now, think about this. You're right. There is a stem hole that when you pull a grape off. But
maybe you didn't pull it off. Maybe you left it on the stem.
Well, if you left it on the stem. Or the other thing is it heats so rapidly.
It can't get out.
A single grape in a microwave, unless you got a really poor microwave, I would think you would superheat that faster than it was able to
come out of there?
Respirate out.
I think I need to go try that in your microwave.
Yeah.
So, do you hard-boil eggs?
Yes.
So
in a pot of water.
And are you good at hard-boiling eggs?
I probably overdo them by most people's standards, but I have.
Does it have a green ring around the outside? When you get them done and break them open, is it green?
Not that far.
Well, if it's not green, you're not overdoing them.
Okay. But I have an aversion to raw eggs.
Okay.
I don't know why. I mean, it's just a thing. I can't tolerate.
Okay, so you don't even like your eggs over easy?
Not particularly.
Okay,
no.
You want the yolks completely done?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am our egg boiler in our family.
Okay.
Because
and
my wife
technique involves
just a timer. It's just as simple as that.
You bring it to a boil.
You do, but the thing is, I don't like to break my eggs when I'm boiling them either, and so I leave them on high. But I like to watch them because have you ever watched an egg before they come to a boil? It's the air comes out of them. You have little trails of bubbles coming out from them.
Right.
I mean, as hard as that yolk is, that shell is,
it's porous.
It's porous. Yeah. And you see, so I like to get the water just hot enough but I can have all the eggs with those little bubblers coming out of it
at the same time.
At the same time.
Well, that's
exactly.
Uniform heats.
Well, it's not that hard because all the water is the same temperature in the pan.
True.
Yeah, and so, but if you have it just a little too low, some of them are coming out, some are not. If you have it too high and it's actually boiling, you can't
too fast,
you can't see it. Right. Yeah. So, some man just has his simple pleasures, and one of mine is that
watching the air bubble.
The reason that my wife likes me to do it is all my eggs are a nice yellow yolk, and they don't have the green around the outside. Okay. And the whole key is, as soon as they come to a boil, keep them warm for 20 minutes, and put them cold.
Cool them out.
Now, how hard is that? But it appears that it's extremely hard because it appears a lot of people can't do it.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.